And we're back with the next installment of Probably Unconstitutional. The United States Supreme Court heard arguments in one of the most closely watched cases of the term that's about the president's authority to impose tariffs under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, or IEEPA. Now, if you don't drink your coffee over the US code, here's what's at issue. IEEPA grants the president certain powers in regards to imports and exports during what's called an unusual or extraordinary threat. But here's the thing, the statute specifically lists what those powers are, and imposing tariffs is not one of them. Now, the government is arguing that one of those powers, regulate importation, implicitly includes the authority to impose tariffs. So one of the key questions for the court is whether that power exists despite it not being listed in the statute. While that is a very important argument for the court to consider, that will not be the end of the analysis. In fact, there was an argument that the justices mentioned over and over again at oral argument, and that is the non-delegation doctrine. Now, we here at Pacific Legal Foundation are especially interested in that argument because we represent a group of small businesses, and we filed a friend of the court brief in the tariff case specifically about this doctrine. So, what is it? The non-delegation doctrine says that Congress cannot delegate its core lawmaking powers to the executive branch. Now, that doesn't mean that Congress has to delegate every minute detail about every subject. It does have the ability to delegate some discretion, but it must do so within clear boundaries. When it does, Congress must state a general policy that the executive branch must pursue, define the boundaries of that delegated authority, and provide clear enough standards that both the courts and the public can discern whether the government is following the law. So, going back to the tariff case, if the court determines that the authority to regulate importation includes the authority to impose tariffs, that still will not answer the question of whether the statute itself unconstitutionally transfers legislative power to the executive branch. And that matters a great deal in this case because under the government's reading, the president could potentially impose any tariff on any product for any amount from any country for any amount of time, so long as the president declares an emergency. And that raises serious constitutional concerns. If the president has unlimited sweeping delegation with little to no boundaries, it probably violates the non-delegation doctrine.